Yo, that was a bait and then some. I mean, I've been pretty adamant about the two characters I thought would die at the end of the show. That was Majima as well as Shinji, the shitty father in the entire situation here. And even though half of that kind of came true, the preview that they released, it was either yesterday or the day before, they released a preview for episode 13, right? And for the most part, it's nothing that you didn't really expect. There was a scene at the very end of that preview that made it look like Chisato was in her dying moment. And I mean, I made the biggest bait and switch thumbnail here. It basically looks like I'm spoiling Chisato's death. No, this girl actually got out of it, and I'm glad, because that's the trajectory it kind of felt like over the past few episodes, but there was that level of uncertainty on how they might want to end this show. And to see, my favorite part of this episode, hands down, is the card, right? It says like, happy birthday. It's basically saying like, hey, this is a start of something new. But there was something on said card that my boy Mika removed before basically returning it. And that is probably the best thing that he could have done, because here's the thing, Mika is probably the scariest out of any character we've seen. We definitely see from his faking of needing a cane, because you never know when you're going to need to kick some ass and take some names, especially if it's with a former lover of yours. So the fact that he can be such a stealth maniac, you don't know what he's truly thinking or doing or what he's capable of until it happens. But the fact of the matter is, had she read that full message, she wouldn't have thrown that amulet into the ocean. I think that's pretty agreed upon for anyone who watched that scene. She very much probably would have said, you know what, I was right, he still is a savior, he's not as bad of a guy as maybe Mika made him out to be. And we know damn well this girl needs to start anew and not look back at this shitty situation. And the fact that when they look at the cafe at one point where you have like the little drawing that she made of Mika as well as her savior, they just put a generic painting up over it, right? This is the start of something new for both Chisato, Takana, the group as a whole. So I think for him removing that message is the crucial detail that lets us, if they decide not to make a season 2, then to just say she's going to have a damn good life and she's going to get that second chance after Mika took actions into his own hands. And I thought that was rather brilliant, I have to say, because not only was it painful, it serves as so many different purposes, right? But the thing I like about this is that even though the creators themselves were like, we never expected this show to become as popular as it turned out, with that level of popularity, even if they didn't initially have a season 2 in mind, there's no way a production committee won't greenlight a season 2 in some way, shape, and form. I think it's just a matter of time. The big question I have is if they would necessarily focus on the cast of characters we've grown to know and love to the same degree that Season 1 did, because with the whole Lilybell stuff, there's a lot of potential to continue this world, as we see more or less a movie is basically the biggest cover-up of the century, but there's still a lot to explore. The thing I appreciate, however, is that if Chisato Takana's story had to end here, you feel like you could leave these characters off and feel happy about where they ended up and how they didn't fracture at the end, like it was basically being presented at episode 10 and 11 in that area anyway. I still think there's still so much left to tell with this world. Majima, this man, you can't keep him down. I thought he was definitely gonna die. That moment with the gun, holy shit, bone chilling. I got some Joker vibes right there. There's still a lot left to explore, and I think given the massive popularity that this show received, it's just a matter of when, and I think if for some reason that doesn't happen, the manga version that's being made, most likely we'll see some more content in that way. But I like leaving this show feeling like it started off as an underdog, where people were like, damn, this is kind of a wild concept, but it really, at 3 or 4 different points, just accelerated in quality, and we end in a way that just makes me say, having a final villain like Majima, right? Someone who can casually take a break because it's no fun beating a sick puppy. We're going to let you catch your breath and we'll kind of get that indirect kiss through a soda can, right? As you're building up to this grand explosion. Didn't even cross my mind in the moment. Some people might have saw it coming, just given it some, like if you kind of look back at hindsight, I think the clues are there. But in the moment, I'm so caught up in the fight, the life or death moment, Takana racing up, Chisato, holy shit, is her heart gonna give out? She's falling to her seemingly death, she gets caught, but the explosion's going, fireworks. This man is a troll, and his mindset on just how, like, you know, if the DA were the underdogs, he'd be working for them, but ultimately, like, there's so much chaos about him, and that chaos is, I haven't enjoyed that level of chaos in quite some time, which is one of my biggest things of like, please, for the love of God, give me a season 2, because Majima's crazy storyline is far from over. the Lilybell stuff, the whole like where they will go with this system. Even if Takina Chisato's story could be seen as over, there is still other characters in this universe that I'd like to see more of. It's just a matter of if we get it sort of a thing, which obviously I'm saying my bet is on yes. But I think leaving an episode like this, which has had a roller coaster of emotions, we thought characters were going to die, we thought, damn, this could be a fate worse than death at times, and to just see the direction they ultimately went with this, where who got to live, who got to die, and just, coming back to what kind of they were at to begin with, but the fact that, they're on that little mobile restaurant, they're basically enjoying the Hawaii way of life. It just feels like even if things kind of feel like they went back to where they started, for the cast that we've been following, our main supporting cast, our main characters, Takina, Chisato, things like that, I feel like they ended in a completely different way, even if the world more or less went back to where it started. And I think that's part of the reason why I could see a season 2, whether that's a new cast of characters or somehow they find a way to bring these ones back into the front and center. I think there's a lot of potential in this universe. Honestly, it sticks out among so many over the best anime over the past 5 years, if I'm going to be honest. Dark horses, sleeper hits, you hear about those every season, and I'm not saying they aren't there every season. But this one, to me, it even stands above so many extras. And, as someone who was jumping for joy at the thought of this crazy show ever since episode 1 release, it's crazy to see how much more I'm enjoying this show from where I started out. I would say, the first handful of episodes were pretty damn solid and even great, but to me, this show's like a masterpiece level quality. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That's how strongly I feel about it. And honestly, I could easily see myself purchasing a Blu-ray if they decided to do an English release sort of a thing. But this was great. I thought the voice actors did a hell of a good job. The action choreography was fantastic. One of the things that I saw a lot of people agree with me is that, at first, the whole Majima fight felt a little one-sided, a little too quick. This episode gives it to us, as well as lets them kind of feel like frenemies in a way. And I think it definitely alleviates any pain that would have been there if the fight was also short in this episode. It just felt like there was so much to this man, and he's a mixture of a Joker / a troll, and honestly, he's such a fantastic villain that I just can't wait to see, potentially anyway, where his crazy-ass story could go from here. And I have to say, the use of lighting in this episode was probably some of the best that this show has seen to date, whether it was the Hawaii stuff, whether it was them reconnecting after her fleeing, after waking up in the hospital. But most importantly, it was the fight with the almost sunset hitting, and then by the time the fireworks starts, to just get that pie on the face moment. It just felt like this show really didn't dip. It was actually one of the most consistent shows of the season, and for being a 13 episode show, A1's doing more than one show this season. It's crazy how consistent narrative, characters, sound design, production, it just really felt like a top tier anime that you could, with a smile on your face, recommend to so many anime fans. But I'd love to know everyone's thoughts on the ending, the show as a whole. Do you want a season 2 or not? Let me know what you're feeling down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.